My husband cheated with my sister. I left them. Now she needs my help. I found out years ago that my first husband was cheating on me with my own sister, and that betrayal cut so deep that I divorced him on the spot and cut ties with my whole toxic family. For a long time, I kept my distance from all of them and built a new life. Eventually, things leaned to feel steady again. I ended up marrying my husband Connor. He's 32, and we've been together 6 solid years. Our relationship has had its fair share of normal ups and downs, the usual couple drama you learn from and move past. But overall, we've built something strong and loving. I really thought life had settled into a good place at least until about 8 months ago. That's when everything leaned shifting in a way I didn't see coming. My sister, Lena, she's 28, suddenly moved back to our hometown after living down in Florida since she was 18. Her long-term boyfriend dumped her out of nowhere and then took off to some other city, leaving her completely stranded and broke. Nobody really knows what exactly went down between them. When she showed up, she told us had been cheating on her with men. I didn't know the guy well at all, but even for me that story felt off. ID only met him 3 times, twice when she dragged him home for Christmas, and once when Connor and I visited them during a vacation a few years back. Nothing about him ever gave me that secret double life vibe. I tried contacting him once, just to understand what happened, but had already blocked me. So I let it go and figured the whole mess was her problem to sort out. Lena moved into my parents' house, Marisol and Douglas, both in their mid-50s. She stayed with them for about a month while trying to get back on her feet. She wasn't having any luck finding work, so I mentioned to her that maybe Connor could help. He's higher up at his company and usually has some influence. Sure enough, he pulled a few strings and she ended up getting a job in his department, right in her field. For some background, Lena and I have never really been close. She's always been the golden child, at least to our mom, and my dad. Well, he never stands up to her. It's not like they bragged about it, but it showed in 1,000 little ways. When we turned 16, for example, we both got cars. I got an 8-year-old Dodge Neon. She got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Her dance outfits, practices, competitions, all of that cost thousands, and they never blinked. Some competitions were 6 hours away, and they drove her without a single complaint. Meanwhile, ID asked for $50 for a volleyball or basketball camp at the local college, and even if they gave it to me, they acted like I was asking them to build me a damn stadium. The thing that still stings, when I was 17, I came home 15 minutes past curfew because I lost track of time with my boyfriend. They took my car for an entire month. The very next year, Lena came home 2 hours late, smelling like weed, and all she got was a stern little lecture. I wasn't exactly heartbroken when she left for college and stayed in Florida. Honestly, it felt like a break. Despite all that history, she leaned ahead spending more and more time at my house once she moved back. At first, I thought maybe she was genuinely trying to get closer to me, which I actually appreciated. But then I noticed how familiar she and Connor were getting. They'd have these long, animated conversations about anything and everything. They developed inside jokes, their own little world, and if I tried to join in, they'd brush me off with, "Oh, that's just a work thing." When I asked Connor about it, he said they just had a lot in common and were collaborating on several projects. I wanted to believe him, but the first real red flag came about a month later. I'd get home from my 107 shift, and she'd already be there, hanging out with Connor. She doesn't even work the same hours. Every time I asked why she was at our house so often, they'd both say it was work stuff. 2 months ago, something happened that honestly made me think I was losing my mind. I always make our bed the same way every morning before leaving for work. Pillowcases with the open ends facing the outside edges. Lena was over that day, like usual. We ate dinner together, and then she left to go back to my parents' house. When Connor and I climbed into bed that night, I saw 2 pillows had their open ends facing the inside, toward the middle. That might sound small, but I know how I make our bed. I asked Connor if he'd been in bed that day, and he looked lenitled, then said no and asked why. I pointed out the pillows, and he insisted I must have remembered wrong because no one was in the bed. I checked his phone and laptop behind his back. Nothing. But then again, they worked together all day, then hung out after work. Why would they need to text? I felt like I was going crazy. 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us for dinner. Everything seemed normal enough until I caught something that stopped me cold. Connor walked past Lena, and she lightly grabbed his arm. He turned toward her, she whispered something, and then, for just a second, they touched their foreheads together. It was quick, but intimate in a way you can't mistake. Connor jerked back and kept walking. Lena looked right at me, smiled in this smug little way, and went back to whatever she was doing. I'm not stupid. I knew all these signs were screaming at me, but I didn't want to believe it. Eve loved Connor since I was 21. The idea of him being with her, it made me sick. I planned a weekend getaway, thinking maybe if we were alone, I could ask him calmly and get an honest answer. I was praying I was wrong. You were all right, and my world is shattered. We went on our weekend trip. Friday night felt amazing. We had drinks, we danced, we were intimate. For a moment, I thought I'd been imagining everything. The next day, I almost didn't bring it up. I told myself a man couldn't act that loving with me if he was doing something so cruel behind my back. But when we were getting ready for the day, something in me just snapped. I looked at him and, without sugarcoating anything, asked if he was having an affair with my sister. He teared up immediately, and then he said yes. Hearing that truth felt like my heart collapsed. I asked him why, and he just kept saying he was sorry, that he never meant for it to happen. He said they just clicked, and before he realized it, they were kissing, and then it became more. I asked him if they'd been sleeping together in our bed, before I got home from work. He turned his head away, and that was all the answer I needed. I walked out with nothing but my purse and drove home alone. He took an Uber back later with my other things. He tried apologizing, but I was crying too hard to even respond. He packed a bag and went to a hotel. The next day, I told my parents. Turns out they already knew. They apologized, told me Lena had left their house the night before and might not come back for a while. About 3 months ago, right after everything blew up, I'm pretty sure Lena went straight to stay with Connor. Things moved fast. Our divorce is almost finalized now. Connor found himself an apartment within days. And of course Lena moved right in with him like she'd been waiting to claim the space. I only talk to him when it's absolutely required for the divorce paperwork. At first, he told me I could keep the house and whatever savings we'd built. I think that was the guilt talking. A few days later, he changed his tune and said we needed to split the house. I could practically hear Lena whispering in his ear. Luckily, I'd already moved all the savings into a new personal account, so that wasn't something he could claw back. And just like that, 9 years of my life disappeared, gone like someone unplugged the whole thing. He has no idea what kind of storm he signed up for. Lena is a narcissist to her core, and she'll toss him away the second he stops feeding whatever fantasy she's living in at the moment. Lena didn't stop at stealing my husband. She went out of her way to be cruel. Just a few days after I found out about the affair, she tagged me in a Facebook post, a selfie of her and Connor, him kissing her cheek while she grinned like she won some prize. The caption said feeling loved, and it made my stomach turn. I logged out of Facebook and deleted the app right off my phone. An hour later, she texted me something so disgusting it felt like a parody. Sorry sis, didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. I hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday too. I blocked her everywhere I could think of. My parents weren't any better. At first, they acted like they cared. But when I told them I was going no contact with both Lena and Connor, my mom gave me this look and said, I'm sorry it happened this way, but your sister deserves to be happy too. You'll find someone someday, and then we can put all this behind us. When I told her what Lena had posted and the text she sent, Mom just shrugged and said, well, you shouldn't be on social media anyway. My dad didn't say a single real thing through all of this. He just sat there. When I asked him once what he thought about everything, he said, I agree with your mother, and left the room. So now I'm done with all of them. Completely no contact. The house is going up for sale, and as soon as it closes, I'm leaving the state. I'm not telling any of them where I'm going. I'm finished. I hope they all get exactly what they deserve. Update for years later. Hi again, everyone. I know it's been 4 years since I last checked in, but something major happened, so hey, race the full update. First, about me. I'm actually engaged now. It took a long time, years of therapy, honestly, to get myself steady enough to even think about dating again. After I settled in Minnesota, I tried to date too soon. The first guy I went out with seemed okay until he opened his mouth and showed me he was a complete kale-base. That experience had me swearing off men entirely. That's when I really committed to therapy. I had to unpack the betrayal from my husband and my sister and the abandonment from my parents. That year was rough, but it saved me. And somewhere along the way, I met Elias. He's 37. Yes, he has the same first name as my dad. Go figure. But Elias is nothing like him. He's a chef, and he and his twin brother Caleb run a restaurant and bar that's actually doing really well. I'm excited about our future in a way I never thought I'd feel again. But now race the part where my family once again showed me they have absolutely no shame. About 9 months after I cut contact and left, I came home to find a wedding invitation in the mail. It was for Connor and Lena. The invitation included a nauseating picture of the two of them hugging in a sunflower field, like they were the Lenas of some bargain bin romance novel. There was also a letter from my parents. The whole thing basically boiled down to, you need to forgive and move on. We know things didn't go perfectly, but we're a family, and families work through problems. They even claimed Lena wanted me to be a bridesmaid, just like she'd been for me. What? The actual hell? That letter tore open every old wound I'd spent months stitching shut. My therapist made a small fortune off me that month. Today, I can laugh about how delusional it was. Back then, not so much. I didn't respond at all. The only thing I did was find out which extended family member gave them my address, and cut them off too. And now, race the most recent drama. Last week, out of nowhere, Connor showed up at my apartment. Elias and I don't live together yet, though that's changing soon, but Connor must found my address again somehow. He looked good. Too good. Like he'd taken extra time getting ready, which made me instantly annoyed. I opened the door and asked, "What do you want?" He said, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Lena and I are divorcing. I found out she'd been unfaithful our whole marriage. I don't expect you to take me back, but maybe we could talk and get closure." I blinked twice because I truly couldn't believe the audacity. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "No, you don't get closure. You made your bed. Did you really think that golden little hoe of yours, who's had more visitors than a Holiday Inn, was suddenly going to hang up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on her? You're even dumber than I thought. I don't forgive you. I don't want anything from you. I don't care. My life is better, and it always will be. You can go to hell." Then I turned around, walked inside, and locked the door. Immediately, I called my landlady, sweetest old woman you'll ever meet, and told her what was going on. She already knew my story. Within minutes, her 2 nephews who help with maintenance were at my door telling Connor he wasn't welcome and would be banned from the property. If he came back, they'd call the police for trespassing. I hoped that would be the end of it. It wasn't. Because I work a pretty normal 9 to 5 now, I usually stop by Elias and Caleb's restaurant in the evenings when Elias is managing. I don't get in the way, I just hang out, talk to the staff, and enjoy the little moments Elias and I steal together. Their whole family is incredibly warm, and honestly, the restaurant feels more like family than anything I grew up with. So the next night, I'm sitting there, talking with a few of the staff, when Connor walks in like he owns the place. He heads straight over to my table and sits down. It was a slow Tuesday, and Elias saw him instantly. He came over right away, the look on his face telling me he recognized Connor from old photos. I'd barely finished showing him when Connor stuck his hand out toward Elias like he expected a handshake. Elias just leaned at it for a second, then turned to me and asked, "Want me to toss him out?" I told him, "Not yet. Eve got a couple questions first." That made Connor perk up like he thought had somehow earned a prize. Honestly, the guy was such a tool. I asked him to tell me what really went down between him and Lena. He'll admit, at that point it was nothing but morbid curiosity driving me. He launched right into it, saying she'd been having at least 2 affairs with married men. Old habits and all that. According to him, this was around 2 years into their marriage, and he tried to make it sound like he'd been suffering through some impossible hardship. I rolled my eyes. I cut him off and said, "Come on, you're not that clueless. Did you at least protect yourself financially, or did she walk away with half your stuff?" Connor gave this smug little grin and said he stuck it out almost another year so he could quietly stash money away and sell off some assets. In the end, she only walked off with a tiny portion of what she could have gotten. So what happened to her after that? I asked. He shrugged and said, "She had to move back in with your parents again. That was all I needed." "Great," I said, feeling oddly satisfied. "That's what I wanted to hear. You can leave now." Elias didn't need to be told twice. You heard her, he said. Out of my restaurant, Connor. But Connor leaned at Ted arguing, saying he wanted to, whatever. I cut him off. No. No forgiveness. No big emotional closer. I just wanted to confirm that my loser sister is back at home. Now go. Elias stood up and pointed directly at the door. By then, even the bartender and a couple servers were giving Connor the stink eye. He finally tucked his tail and headed out. Elias leaned at Ted to warn him, and if you ever come back, Connor cut in. Yeah, I know. Cops. Trespassing. Then he left. After that, people kept checking on me, like half the restaurant, honestly. It was sweet, but also a little embarrassing. My future in-laws, who I absolutely adore, called me not long after. They insisted I stay with Elias for the next couple days just to be safe. It was incredibly kind, and honestly, ID never had a family look after me like that before. I never heard from Connor again, and I pray it stays that way. A quick update. Hey everyone, didn't think I'd be back, but here we are. So about me. I'm now a 43-year-old mom of 2 boys, ages 7 and 3, and Elias and I are doing great. I work part-time as the office manager for the restaurants. A few years back, Elias' cousin bought into the business, and we opened a second location. It's been a ton of work, but with all 3 of them staying hands-on at both spots, things run smoothly, and they each get a little personal time too. And yeah, it wasn't exactly planned, but I'm pretty sure I got pregnant during the stretch when Elias' parents insisted I stay with him after my last post. They joke now that they always wanted grandkids and that it was all part of their master plan. Anyway, onto the update. After Connor tracked me down that last time, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or Lena tried to find me too. But nothing happened right away. I eventually relaxed a bit, especially once I felt like I finally had a real support system. I even rejoined social media. I still kept full no contact with most of my family, even the extended ones. But I wasn't stupid. I knew that if they wanted to track me down, they eventually would. Sure enough, after our first son was born, I got my first message. It was from my mom. She gave me this half-hearted apology, tossed in some vague line about forgiveness, and then asked about her grandson. I was ready to just block her right then, but something about her acting like my son was her grandchild rubbed me the wrong way. It felt disrespectful, honestly. So I wrote back and told her, as plainly as I could, you don't have any grandchildren. I'm not your daughter anymore, and that means my kids have nothing to do with you. If you want grandkids so badly, tell Lena to get back out there and do what she's always been good at. Then I blocked her. Of course, she made more accounts and kept trying to reach me, but I ignored every request and deleted every message. That leads me to the more recent mess. Out of nowhere, I lean at Ted getting flooded, requests, messages, notifications, every possible way they could try to reach me. They were using it. I read a few of them, and it was the usual dramatic guilt trip about missing out on the grandkids' lives and wanting to make amends. I didn't buy a word of it. I had zero plans to let them back into my life. But then something unexpected happened. Lena Ted reaching out too. She didn't say much, just kept repeating that she really needed to talk to me. After about 3 weeks of constant attempts, I finally agreed to a Zoom call. Just me, no kids anywhere near it. The moment the call began, they leaned at Ted, pushing to see the kids. I shut that down right away. They already had 3 grandparents, Elias' mom, dad, and grandma, and that was the end of that discussion. Pretty quick, I could tell this wasn't really about wanting a relationship. Lena looked awful, sick, thin, tired, and my parents looked older and worn down. As soon as we leaned at Ted talking, they launched into apologies. Real ones, or at least as real as they could muster. Even Lena apologized. She said she regretted everything she'd done and wished she could have her sister back. I won't lie, I almost laughed. Then Mom jumped in and leaned at her usual speech about family and sticking together and how we need each other. When she finished, I just leaned at them and said, "That's it. I'm leaving if that's all you've got." They panicked and told me to wait. That's when the mask fell off. They admitted the real reason they'd been hounding me. Lena had been dealing with serious health issues for a couple years, and now her kidneys were failing. She needed a transplant, and fast. A family member was her best shot at a match. I looked straight at them and asked, "So that's why you're calling? You want me to save her? First she took my husband, and now she wants a piece of my body too?" My mother snapped, "Stop it. That was a long time ago. She leaned its head crying, saying, I know you hate us, but she's going to die without this transplant. Do you really want that? I know she hurt you, but please, just this once, can't we put it aside? I stayed quiet. I wanted to see what else they'd try. Eventually my dad stepped in, trying to sound reasonable. Look, we're sorry about everything, but things are bad. Between Lena's medical bills and her not being able to work, plus your mom and I getting older, we're drowning. We need you to come back to Missouri and get tested. And honestly, if you could help out financially, we really need it or we might lose the house. So you need my kidney and my money? I asked. Don't put it like that, he said. Then Lena chimed in, crying. Please, just come home. I need my big sister. I don't want to die. Just see if you're a match. If you're not, we'll never bother you again. I told them I'd think about it, do some research, and let them know the next night. Then I ended the call and went to talk to my husband. He told me he supported me no matter what I decided. He asked if we should all travel as a family, or if he should at least come with me. I said no to both. If I was going alone. I messaged my old family and told them I'd get tested here in Minnesota first. If I was a match, then I'd come down and we could talk next steps. About a week later, the test results came in. I was a perfect match, so I agreed to go back to SD. Charles. By the time I arrived, Lena had taken a turn for the worse and had to be admitted to the hospital. Honestly, that solved the problem of them trying to drag me to dinner or pretend we were about to reconnect. Anytime they had even a moment to breathe, my parents were nagging me about helping them get caught up on their bills. They got Lena stabilized, and I met with the transplant doctors. They went through the whole process with me, and I told them I'd prefer to talk about it with everyone present. We all met in Lena's hospital room. My parents were already there. The doctor explained that without a transplant, Lena had maybe 6 months left. He emphasized over and over that I was basically the ideal donor, practically the only one they'd ever find. He pushed the point that sooner was better. I walked over to Lena, took her hand, and looked her right in the eyes. Did you hear that? I said, I'm the perfect match. I'm the only person who can save your life, and I'm not going to. I told her she was the most selfish, narcissistic piece of gutter trash I had ever known. I said I came there for one reason only, so she would understand that the one person who could keep her alive was also the person she had hurt the most, and that now she would die because of her own actions. She burst into tears, and my parents immediately turned on me, furious. The doctor and nurse were just standing there in stunned silence. I looked at my parents and said, don't talk to me. Don't ask me for anything ever again. The only money I'd ever spend on you would be for your funerals, and that's only if I get to cremate you and personally dump your ashes into the dirtiest porta potty I can find. Then I walked out and never looked back. I'm home now, my real home, surrounded by my real family. And Eve ain't never been happier.